If I'm reading our culture right, then I think that polygamy is well on its way into greater cultural acceptance in a lot of the countries of our world, and that this is going to be only a more pressing issue. And so I think, especially now, I should put out this rather difficult, but I think perhaps valid addition to my teaching on the topic of polygamy. And this is it. In Scripture, adultery is legitimate cause for divorce. It is a proper justification for divorce that does free one to marry another. It's sad, it's terrible, but it is an actual justification that I think Jesus himself approves of in Matthew 5:32 and Matthew 19:9 and 10. In the case of a polygamous marriage, it seems to me that infidelity is taking place on a regular basis all the time. But it's one-sided. So if it's one husband and two wives, three wives, then the husband, while being faithful to one wife, is being unfaithful to another one of his wives. He is constantly violating the heart of what marriage means. And I don't think you can rescue yourself from this problem by saying, but they agreed to it. Because man agreeing to violate the concept and the biblical view of marriage, the desire that God has, one man, one woman, to be joined, to become one flesh, and the fidelity that belongs to that relationship, man choosing that they agree to violate that means nothing. You know, a marriage where they decide to have an open marriage doesn't make it okay. It is God who dictates what marriage means. And I think that polygamy creates, it seems to me, a situation where at least one person in that marriage is constantly committing adultery against the other people in those marriages. The implications of this are pretty profound. What it means is that a husband who has multiple wives doesn't have a right to divorce any of them. No, he has no right. His obligation is to be faithful. Even though his faithfulness to one is unfaithfulness to another, that's the situation that sin has created. But his job is to remain as loyal of a husband as he possibly can in that scenario. But the women are married to a man who is regularly sleeping with other women. And it seems to me that they have justification to exit that marriage at any time of their choosing. Now, I know that creates an unstable situation for those polygamist relationships, but perhaps that's what's kind of needed, because maybe these women need a way out in some cases. This would actually have really heavy implications, because it would imply that Jacob, with his multiple wives, that they could have, by right, stepped out at some point. But maybe that's just the truth of the situation. We don't look at them like they're the model examples. In fact, Jacob, more often than not, is a bad example in Scripture. You know, we see Solomon with his multiple wives as a bad example. We don't see this as a positive, wonderful thing. And I think that that's proper. And perhaps the right understanding is that a person who is one of many who is married to another, or one of two who's married to another, that person may have a proper, legitimate cause for divorce at any given time. And I think that I'm going to have to drop that bomb in your lap and ask that you use wisdom and godliness, because I consider this an issue that really people are actually facing today, and they're going to be facing in greater numbers in the near future as our culture continues to devolve into moral make-believe on the topic of sexuality and marriage.